Grell, when was the last time we had a Champions League night like tonight? It felt like bangers only for goals, didn't it?
I'll be honest, I'm exhausted from watching the game. I'm being dead serious. It was so interesting, the game, the way that they put it. First half different from the second half. And it was just so fun to watch. Barcelona, a side that was just, I think, play some of the best football in the world. I think we learned tonight that Yamal is the best player in the world. I don't think there's anyone we've ever seen in the history of the game at 17 years old command the game like that. And I think that we also learned or knew some things about Inter, that they're the old foxes, the experienced, the defenders, that know the moments in the game, when to get things from the game. Now they've scored their last, out of their last 5 goals, 4 are from corner kicks. So you talk about taking advantage when you can and being clever in different moments. So, but it was a fantastic game that had everything. It was a game that I would love my kids to watch and say, hey, this is what football is all about. It was a perfect game.
You can't have not enjoyed that as a neutral fan. Barcelona probably, even though they scored 3 goals at home, come out on the side of it thinking a bit of a disappointment, the fact that Inter were on such a dreadful run of form and now it's all left to be decided at San Siro.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, proper European semi-final, and context almost doesn't matter how these two teams come in. This is their season right here, right? Inter hadn't won in 3 games, hadn't scored in 3 games. So the fact that they come in here, walk away with a draw, it's sensational for them. And for Barcelona, yeah, you look at the result and you say, not that great for Barcelona, but I think this is all to play for in the second leg. I'm not too sure of Barcelona's shot of confidence. Barcelona knows who they are, and I think what tells you who Barcelona is the most is when they were down 2-0. They didn't get antsy, they didn't get nervous, they played their game, chipped away, and got back into it twice, actually. And I think that's more of a conversation about how Inter weren't able to conserve their lead. Because, again, you look at the scoreline and you say, amazing for Inter. There were moments where you say, well, they actually went up on the scoreline. Maybe they should have put up a better fight to conserve that lead for longer moments. It was like 3 minutes the first one and 1.5 minutes the second one.
There's 3 narratives that comes out of that game today. There's the narrative that the Barcelona players are going to have and the narrative that Inter players are going to have. But the one that they're both common is they both still feel that they can win in that second leg, which is sensational. I described both these teams to say that one is the most entertaining team in world football right now, and the other is the most interesting team in world football. And what a firecracker game we just had. You talk about Barcelona, the style of play, what they do, how they approach the game. And into that team, you just can't write off. The experience, the resilience, the character. No one had Inter going there today and scoring 3 goals, and they did. And they're still in this tie. They've surprised a lot of people, where I think now the odds may change a lot, and especially with the set-piece threat that they have. So it was a great game of football.
And it was amazing individual performances, wasn't it? Do you find it hard, Nico, to pick a player of the game in that? You've got Dumfries, Lamine Yamal, Rafinha.
Dumfries with his double specifically, I mean, but it's difficult to go against Lamine Yamal. I can't believe he's 17, and I can't get tired of saying it. How old is your oldest?
He's 10.
Tell everyone what you said to him, Grell.
Yeah, you told your oldest.
7 years older. Our cameraman has a 12-year-old. I've seen him come in here, and he's only 5 years older than him. I have my cousins who are freshmen in college. They're 18 years old. He's their age, you know? And this kid, like you said, Grell, the word command, the way that he said they were down 2-0, and he said, you know what, boys, give me the ball. I'm going to take care of this, not anybody else. I am better than everyone here. I'm going to put this team back into the game. I'm lost for words with how good this kid is.
I'd have to say, just to add to that, Nico, for me, it's people have to understand, like, when you turn professional and when you're young at that age, you can't command the team, and it's a team of Barcelona's magnitude. And what you have to admire is a 17-year-old, they're 2-0 down, and he willing to get the ball. He's not shying away. He's not hiding. He's not passing the responsibility to the senior players to say, you guys are more experienced than me. You guys have played more games than me. You guys go and do it, and I'll just fall in line. He's saying, I'll take it. I'm one of the best players in world football right now. I'll make something happen. That goal that he scored, that solo individual goal, was absolutely sensational. We had a conversation before to say, why is his name not mentioned right now a lot more, that he's the best player in world football? I believe he is the best player in world football, because what he's doing at that age and we talk about how Barcelona play, a lot of Barcelona's play is football intelligence. We watched an interview of him in one other show that he did, and he talked about saying, and people question him, oh, how are you so good? He said, because I think about the game. I think about, before I get the pass, what my next pass is. I think about my next option. And the way that Barcelona played, you could see the whole football intelligence through the academy system. Because after Lamine scored his goal, his teammates recognised this kid's on fire, give him the ball. Every time, all the attacks were coming down his side in the first half. Cool down in the second half, but that's part of, if someone's hot, you give him the ball. If I was playing with Grella and I knew Grella's having the best time of his life against the centre-back, I'm going to give him the ball every time. Go on, Grella, get him, beat him.
How many times did that happen?
A few times, Nico.
I'm kidding.
Nah, but it's unbelievable what he
plays
did.
with so much confidence. That was his 100th game. It feels like he's had so many milestones, but maybe another milestone as well tonight. And the aura that he has already, Grella, is something that we haven't seen before in recent years.
Yeah, well, this is his 100th appearance for the club, and they said Lionel Messi had 7. At the same age, at the same time. So just try to put that into perspective, and then also, like, I don't want to see a chart with statistics, with XG, with goals on it, with how many goals Rafinha scored or how many goals Lewandowski scored.
Because it's coming later.
This guy, if you know the game really well and you love the game really well, watch this kid play, and then you tell me if he's the best player you've seen in a very long time. We saw something today. We were in for a treat. We got a treat today as football fans and analysts and people watching at home. We got a treat to get to watch this kid at 17 years old do what he did in the first half. Now, to move away from Yamal, I think Barcelona will be very upset because the scouting report against Inter is they're going to score on set pieces and they're going to score off or counterattacks, and they got done on 2 set pieces and a counterattack. And so that's probably where the frustration will come in. And they do play with that back line. Now we got to see it in live.
Even worse, it's a counterattack 37 seconds into the game.
37.
We talked about Barcelona not being locked in. Against Dortmund, they weren't locked in. And towards the end of the match, you saw that they got tired. This semester has been excruciating for Barcelona, who play every 3 days in every tournament.
Do you think Copa del Rey had something to do
of course,
with that?
and the rhythm drops. You can tell that on the press. On the first press, it isn't as sharp, but to get done 37 seconds and they weren't locked in. Lautaro Martinez, out of all players, it's a long ball from the back line because Inter starts with the ball, they play all the way back, and they pop it into the center circle, and Lautaro Martinez anticipates, and that's when the play breaks. And then it's this whole sequence, right, later on. But this is the finish, and extraordinary quality. But Barca can't get done in 37 seconds when Lautaro Martinez is jumping. You got to anticipate that. You can't let them break you 37 seconds in.
It's something that Inter have done so well, and I complimented that. I said the link-up play between Martinez and Thuram is something to watch and marvel at, because it takes me back to the simple days of 4-4-2 formation, where big man, little man striker. And it was the link-up play, the love that all these 2 strikers have for one another. And credit to Martinez, because his hold-up play is sensational. He doesn't get a lot of credit for it, but when that ball goes up there, it sticks. And there's nothing better than being a midfielder to know that I can trust that striker with the ball, and it's gonna stick, and I can make, whether it's a 3rd-man run or get it off his feet.
What about winning in the air?
And yeah,
he must be shorter than the four across the line and the guys that came in from Barcelona.
But
he wins it in the air, absolutely. I mean,
and he does it with everyone, because
by the way,
we saw him do it with Lukaku when Lukaku was still there. So he does link up, but the way that those 2 link up now, credit to them.
You just need to be careful with that. I didn't mean to take anything away from Inter. It's complementary, right? Because that's how football is. Barcelona can't get done 37 seconds in, but all credit to Inter for recognizing that. How many times must they have practiced that in training? We're going to bring them out. We're going to go back. We're going to suck them in to start the game. Hey, guys, let's do this to see if it works. We'll suck them in. Boom, ball over the top, break them.
They've done it for 5 years. This is how they beat Atalanta every time. We watch them every week. We see the same goal every week. And Barcelona would have known that, but that's their Achilles heel, is playing with that high line. And the introduction, or the return, if you want to say, of the danger was stretching Barca with the high line. They needed Thuram. It was a must-have. Thuram was a must-have player in the game. Everybody knew that because of his ability to stretch. And then Dumfries, which I think a lot of Inter fans and probably a lot of Italian football fans owe an apology to, because the thing on Dumfries, oh yeah, he's really good, he's a physical player, and he runs a lot up and down. But no, but he gives you the ability to stretch. He gives you the quality from the cross, more quality than people give him to. And then he's a machine in the box, in both boxes. He gives you something really, really special in both boxes. So Inter will be happy with that. And then Inter will look at the game and say, well, listen, we could have exploited more situations with the back line. Because watching that back line, I was having like palpitations in my heart. Seriously.
But the thing is, we've seen that before, because we saw it when we covered Barcelona versus Benfica. That was a crazy, hectic game as well. And it's they know no other way to play. They will not change how they play. But there's a confident arrogance about this Barcelona side where even going into that second leg, they know the tie's 3-3. There's going to be that belief and arrogance that they're going to win this game.
Well, it'll be interesting to see who's the favourites in that game. Who would you have as the favourites? Inter at home or Barcelona on the road with an equal aggregate?
Listen to this. What did you say? The game's now 50-50?
I think Barcelona's the favorite.
All right, Barcelona's the favorite, but you said 50-50, right? Right before we went
very close. Yeah.
Very close.
Yeah.
Let's just imagine it's 50-50. How about this? Barcelona have progressed from 7 of their 14 European ties when they drew the first leg at home.
It's 50-50.
It's equal. It's anybody's game. If I had to choose one, I think I would choose Barcelona, because the football tells me Barcelona should get this done, but the risk is always there in the back, breathing down their neck. But who knows how to coexist with that risk? Until now, Barcelona has proven to me that they know how to coexist with that risk, and we find out next Tuesday if they die on this hill or survive.
Yeah, but Grella, isn't this perfect setup for Italians, especially for the oldest team in Serie A coming into it, because can't Inter manage the moment a draw?
The result is great for them, because 3-3 away from home is great. They'll walk away with that all day. But you see what happened? They concede they score the first 2 goals quick. And then in the first half, they played in their own 6-yard box, because they went back to, the DNA of, hey, we haven't conceded many Champions League goals. We're going to play in a bunker. They invited them in. They invited Yamal in, and he destroyed Di Marco, destroyed Bastoni. He flashed so many balls across the box. That's why I also think not having Lewandowski was a huge miss for them. And if he plays in the second leg, it's going to be a different Barca, because they create so many balls in the box. Once Barcelona tied the game 2-2, Inter came out in the second half, Inzaghi made an adjustment, and you could see him on the sideline visibly saying, get higher up the field. And when they, not pressed, because they didn't press, but when they moved higher and they asked more questions of Barcelona, they got themselves back into the game. In Barcelona, we saw more quiet Yamal, more quiet Rafinha. I think he was kind of quiet all game except for the goal. And we saw an Inter side that sort of balanced the books a little bit from the first half. So 3-3, if they have the mentality, hey, let's protect. We saw what happens when that happens. You invite them in, you're inviting bad guys into your area.
They got to go out for it. Who have you got going through very quickly? Let's do an early
Barcelona.
The tie slightly favours Barcelona. I'd say slightly. Barcelona's still the favourite.
Nico?
Yeah, Barcelona for me.
Especially if Lewandowski's back, because again, Rafinha and Yamal can just be out there creating all these different chances. I thought they really missed the guy that would sniff out those balls in the box. There was really nobody.
Threat as well. He's a proper aerial threat for.
He's an old school center forward.
80-something% of the aerial duels were won by Inter today. How many crosses did we see Bastoni out? Cherby out.
4 of the last 5 goals from a corner kick. I mean, think about that. So, yes, the counter-attack, they defend well, all these great things about Inter, but they scored 4 of their 5 goals from a corner kick. So that's something, if you're Barcelona, you have to say, okay, this we have to cut out. This we can't afford, right? Because if they cut out those set-piece goals, then Inter loses a big element.